So as of right now, kind of like, what would you say your general marketing mix is to bring in some customers?
Sure. So marketing in cannabis is, again, different than marketing for anything else, primarily because of what the regulations around that look like. So Denver early on decided to have a outdoor advertising ban, which is very restrictive. It means that when you drive through Denver, there's no billboards for cannabis. It's not on the sides of the public transportation. It's not really anywhere. You have to look for it yourself. So we're allowed to advertise on our website or on our building, but anywhere else that we choose to promote ourselves has to be a medium that has a proven 21 plus viewership on it.
What would you do just off the top of your head to increase any of those things? Frequency, card size, card value, whatever it is, or total amount purchased? And then two, well, let's start with that. Let's start with that one. Let's start with that.
So as a brand manager, as you know, a wholesaler, I make sure that my packaging formats are increments of maximum limits. So if the maximum limit on concentrates is 15 grams in a single purchase, my large format is going to be a 5 gram baller bucket, right? Because that allows me to make a bundle deal, buy two, get one 50% off, right? So I'm going to hit my maximum limit as far as, you know, quantity is concerned. As a brand, am 100% of the basket in that case, which is nice for me. And, you know, we can very easily, then we're selling 3 units versus 1 unit. That's one lens that we're looking at. The other thing I look at is, can I bundle products together, right? Like, is my customer that is interested in pre-roll, are they more or less likely to buy a gummy with a transaction, right? So can I make an interesting combination there that will increase the total value of the basket? You know, and then what can I do then to drive basket composition with higher value items, right? Not necessarily whatever is on sale, you know, and that's brand loyalty, that's special edition drops, limited edition product. You know, we've done limited edition flavors, that kind of thing, or certain strains that are only available once in a while. And there are quite a few brands that are doing that at a really high level. But I think from a retail perspective, you got to do the math. Look at what's the most expensive product on your shelf, and how many can a customer buy in a single transaction. That's your maximum dollar amount per transaction. Not a lot of industries have that, and it's something that we have to be hyper aware of in this industry. And then, how do you get closer to that? You know, what are you doing to get closer to that? And run a contest. You know, hey, the person who has the highest basket ring for today is going to get a $50 Amazon gift card. Whatever. The bud tenders are creative. We're a very creative industry. If you give the right reward to your staff, they'll figure out how to get there. I guarantee it. You know?
All about incentives.
At the end of the day, we all get bills to pay. We all want to do cool stuff. Money helps, you know. So
what is your process? What is your marketing mix to get people in the store?
Well, it comes down to how do people want to use your store, right? What are people comfortable with? One of the first things I did with my very dispensary outside of the bar was I took out this waiting room. People, we're not doctors. My stepdad's a doctor. He has a waiting room for medical purposes, right? That was one of the things that I saw when I got into this is I don't want to be committed as a customer walking into a place where I have to show my ID, I have to prove all these things, and then I may not want anything in it. It's the weirdest. I don't want to walk into Home Depot and prove that I'm old enough to hold a power drill. I want to go look at them, feel them, touch them, whatever, and then leave. And so I did that with my first dispensary. As I said, how do people use coffee shops, right? What do they do when they walk into the bar? They walk in, they look at a menu, and they get a pleasant greeting. And, you know, if they like what they see, which was, you know, most likely that they're going to like what they see, they'll buy something. But if they don't, I don't want them to feel like they're trapped. So that was the first thing, is always making people feel like they're walking into something that is familiar. Right. So if it's a coffee shop, if it's a liquor store, it's familiar to them. And then again, my second approach is I didn't want this to be unapproachable by those that want to partake, but maybe don't want to feel like they're in something that they can't afford. So I saw a lot of shops going towards this like Apple look, like a jewelry store, and I thought that puts a precedence on it that it's unattainable by just the average person that, mom and pop shop owner like myself that is watching, the income that's coming in is not going to go want to spend $20 for a gram of cannabis. I think cannabis should be a little bit higher than it is. Yes. But my point is, I didn't want the person that was counting their nickels and dimes to feel like they couldn't come into my store and get the same experience. I've always believed that I don't care if you're a school teacher or a billionaire, you should be treated the same. Everybody should be treated with respect and transparency. So those are the two big key factors that I designed my stores to be like. The other is I designed the store around the employee, right? I don't build a bar where I have whiskey at one side of the building and then I have scotch at another side and then I have wine at another side. The bartender would be all over the place and nobody would get served. So I created the dispensaries to match that bar, like steps, right? You have a certain amount of steps. You're at the counter and the customer says, hey, I'm interested in this flower. So instead of disengaging by turning all the way around and showing your back to the person, you can still engage with them by grabbing something, staying connected, showing them quickly, and then getting back to it. You want to be able to have a constructive transaction that is quick and yet doesn't feel like they're being pushed out the door.
Right.
So,
right.
Yeah, it has to come from two different sides.
What's the marketing kind of mix that you've been kind of tinkering with to kind of get people to come into the store? We can touch on how you get people to stay with the customer service and, word of mouth, but are there any marketing initiatives that you do, partnering up with community people? We spoke about SEO, any of those things?
Yeah. So we have a VIP program that we implemented where it's free to join. Any purchase, you gain points. You use those points for discounts. We send out every once in a while. We'll send out our VIP members extra point weekends where you go and buy. If you come in, you'll end up getting 3-4 extra points. We randomly have dollar pre-rolls for our VIP. We do host. The last 2 years in Ottawa, I hosted. Comedy for Clean Water, which was helping Water First NGO. So we were doing some comedy shows to raise funds for clean water for Aboriginal communities across Canada. We do a lot of Shepherds of Good Hope. We were trying to help them. We help the food bank, Westboro Food Bank. We do that every winter. In North Bay, we do the Santa Claus Fund.
Nice.
We have the Canada Expo coming up this summer in North Bay, which is going to be really great. We have a really good, we have at least 20 legal producers going to show up for this outdoor cannabis event in North Bay. So if anybody's interested, it's open to the public. You get to see exactly what goes on. And I'm hoping to have some discussions so people could see these discussions and exactly what goes on. Because I went to Grow Ops and I wish the community was out there to see what the cannabis community does.
Yeah.
There was no news coverage of what was going on in these talks.
Yeah.
And there was agencies there talking about the laws and what needs to be done. And it was very interesting.
Yeah.
But you never get to see that unless you're in the industry and you get to see it.
Yeah.
But it's not the people in the industry that needs to see it. It's the people outside the industry that needs to see it. And that's where the disconnect I find with the industry and the public. There's a barrier which the government created, right? So
yeah. So it sounds like you do like a lot of community events, kind of both giving back to the community, but it also helps with your kind of the community brand, right? Like I tell people all the time, you don't, unless you're one of those massive corporations, you don't need to be worldwide famous or even internationally famous. You just need to be city famous in your city. And it sounds like that's like kind of the main thing that you're working on right now.
Yeah, and I find being more involved with the community, doing stuff like that, it does help. And honestly, I find if you're going to open up a business wherever you are, whoever you are, you should look at the community that allowed, well, especially with the cannabis industry, like they allowed us to open these stores, right? We have to get approval. So thank you. That's basically what we're trying to say to our community. We're here not just to sell cannabis. We're here to better the community by us being there.
Right.
And by more support, we could support the community even better.
Right.
And even like just going back for the community, we just had a Sens Toronto hockey game where we had 2 winners from Ottawa, 2 winners from North Bay come to a suite, and we hosted a game night for them.
Oh no!
And one of the winners, they weren't even a customer. I was on the sidewalk, right, doing raffles for the food bank. So it was a non-customer that won, and that's kind of like what we're about. We're about the community, not just about ourselves. It's like we'll give stuff to the community.
Right.
You don't have to come into our store or buy anything.
Yeah.
We just, and I think that's a way for the industry to really break out of that stigma and help, showcase what these stores are about. Because with all the window coverings, people are still curious, and the stigma will still be there until people can actually see what these awesome locations look like.
Yeah.
Because I want to show off everybody what our store looks like inside, but nobody can see it because we got window coverings, right?
Yep.